pivot this morning is 40.60. 40.60. Support at 48.37, 27, 18, and 07. Resistance on the upside at 72, 83, 91, 4100, and 10. Pivot 60, resistance at 72, 83, 91, 4100, and 10. Support below at 48, 37, 27, 18, and 07. As we had a couple numbers came out this morning, and they were expecting a GDP number to came out. They were expecting 2.6, comes out at 2.9, so positive for the economy, and the initial claims, which continue to, I guess, dumbfound the Fed because they keep the employment number keeps getting better, even though we're having all these talk of people getting laid off from all these companies, and they were expecting 205 on the weekly jobless claims. They came out at 186. So both those numbers were positive for the economy. And again, that's the problem here. What's positive for the economy is bad for interest rates, maybe. I don't know. Especially next week when they make a decision on interest rates. I think the market is baked in 25 basis points. That's why I think we're up here at these high levels versus a 50 basis point hike, which stronger numbers would suggest would be needed because they're trying to cool the economy down. But what do I know about any of this stuff? And what do I know what they're going to do? Well, all we can do is trade the market, and whatever opportunities the market gives us, we will just scalp it. We try not to think too much because that's not what we do here. We are not going to be thinking about the opportunity, the direction. All we're going to do is try to find opportunities to scalp the market and take advantage of ebbs and flows as they occur. All right. All right, we uptick here a little bit. 72 is our first level of resistance on the upside. Again, we're getting to some not all-time highs, but highs that we haven't been to in a while, and kind of reverting from that big sell-off once they started raising rates. I think we're getting to the point here where we're almost going to say that we're in a bull market because we are 20% off the lows, which, again, if you look at that scenario, about 20% off the lows, 20% off the highs will give you a bear market. So consequently, now we're looking at a bull market. We're getting to that point where that number is going to be right there. I'm sure it's right around here someplace. I think maybe 4,100, someplace in that range. We shall see. All right. Again, all these interim highs here. Well, not all-time high, but I keep saying that because we haven't been here in a while. But these highs that we haven't seen in a while. How's that? And again, we're in the midst of Fed interest rate hikes. But remember, the market always thinks forward. So they're thinking maybe the Fed stop raising rates and good things will happen. I guess. I don't know. Maybe the economy will turn, but the economy's stayed pretty strong regardless. With these numbers have been, so kind of counteracts what the Fed is doing. So that's the dilemma that the Fed is midst of, which again leaves us in a situation where next week, when they are going to announce interest rates, what they're going to do with interest rates, they're looking for, I think the market is baked in a 0.25 point hike in the federal funds rate. We'll see if that is not the case, or not. We shall see. Let's see if there's any other numbers coming out this morning. I had a slew of them. I will repeat the levels in case you missed them. We do have new home sales coming out at 9 o'clock and wholesale inventories as well. So a couple other numbers to be released at the top of the hour. Our pivot this morning is 40-60. 40-60. We have resistance above at 72, 83, 91, 4100, and 10. Support below at 48, 37, 27, 18, and 07. So a couple other numbers to be released here at the top of the hour. New home sales and wholesale inventories. There's a 7-year note auction at noon. Kansas City Fed manufacturing survey at 10, but again, I'm just putting it out there. I don't know if it's going to move the market or not. Like I said, these days I don't know these numbers everybody's looking at. All right, we went up to well, let's see, how did that happen? 67, got up here to the 67 area and came off. We were looking at 72 above. We came back here to our pivot. Nice little quick rotation there against our pivot if you are first time pivot players. Investors will be looking for signs of how strong or weak the economy activity will get, let's see, or weak economy actually is, will get no better data point than what's set to be released this morning. God, that was terrible. Whoever wrote that. Anyway, the U.S. Commerce Department will publish its initial gross domestic product figure for the fourth quarter, which is expected to rise 2.6% annually. Like I said, it went up to 2.9, slowing from the 3.2% in the third quarter. Remember, the U.S. has already entered a technical recession in the first half of 22, as many are quite worried about the actual recession could take place in 23. A technical recession, but an actual recession. Okay. There you go. Then we're going to be in an actual bull market soon, I guess, right? Or a technical bull market. So really nothing's really happened since we haven't actually gotten a recession, or we actually haven't had a bull market. So we are flat, right? Okay, anyway, I'm just reading what it says here. If the unemployment rate rises precipitously and the Fed isn't able to pull off a soft landing. If unemployment rate rises precipitously, but as you can see, the initial claims number well below expectation. So data points have been all over the place in recent months, implying that mixed signals about the economy and its various sectors. Retail sales are weakened, factory production has declined, along with activity in housing markets. Other spending figures point to a stronger consumer and slowing inflation, while the unemployment rate remains at a record low despite big layoffs and growth-oriented sectors like technology. As we come up here and retest the 67 high here, we're looking at 72 as some resistance. Industrial production has been down for 3 months, and capacity utilization has been down for 8 months. Signs that a recession is either here or near, said some analysts. And the variables tend to bias towards the real part of the economy output, not taking things in like services, but they still tend to capture movements in the economy that are a little bit ahead of the more general changes that most people look at. And that is, they're talking about capital, industrial production, and capital utilization. Yeah, I mean, that's why they're getting mixed numbers all over the place. Not showing anything. Well, can you see the charts there, Jimmy? Uh, and that's not my face. No charts. Well, we do have charts up. We do have the charts. Can everybody see the charts? No, you can't see the charts because I haven't put them up. Now you can see the charts. Sorry. All right, you should be able to see the charts now. Okay, good. I'll repeat the levels again for those of you who might have come a little bit late. Our pivot this morning is 40.60, 40.60, resistance above at 72, 83, 91, 4100, and 10. Support below at 48, 37, 27, 18, and 07. As we inch our way to the highs here, we have a little resistance at 72. And remember, these are levels that we haven't seen in a while. So keep your stops in place because you never know when they're going to hit these stops up here. You just never know. And so we, again, not trying to outguess the market. All we're trying to do is find levels that we feel will give us an opportunity to scalp the market. And relatively low risk, 2 to 3 points, pretty low. But again, like I said earlier, if we can get in a nice little opportunity, maybe you can jump in and take a little bit more than 2 or 3 points out of the trade. Yesterday, I think I mentioned that we had a buy above the 91 area, 39.91 area. And that was pretty much a good opportunity there to get long a little bit and never really came back and retested that area. So if you were listening and we had a little buy there below or above 91, and the market did have a nice little rally the rest of the afternoon. Now, rally markets are very tough to trade, right? The VIX gets really low, and the VIX is a volatility index, and volatility gets depleted a little bit. The ebbs and flows are not as great as it usually are when markets go down. So 2 to 3 points is decent level for us to kind of target, especially in rally markets. But again, and also the morning hours are probably better for us to trade as the volatility is greater. And late afternoon trade gets a little bit more one way, as you saw yesterday, and there's just doesn't move as much as we would like. But I had my first support down at the 48 area. It did break through that hourly high, got a little bit of a pop above it. And now we're just kind of, again, could be, Jimmy. I would be looking at 48 on the downside of support, or our pivot area as a little support has been bouncing off of our pivot area, which I guess would be the, not really, but kind of the hourly high. Anyway, we've got good support. Well, first support level is down at 48. We'll go from there. Kind of in the middle here. Unless you're the pivot player here, you're doing okay if you bought the pivot here a couple of times back to it. We had a nice couple rotations off of that pivot. They made a new high there off of that pivot rotation to up to 68.25, and then came back down here to it. So if you're scalping it and you're looking for range trade, that's where we're at. Resistance up there at 72 would be our first resistance area as the market downticks here a little bit. Got our first support level here is at the 48 level. So if you did, again, we're scalping 2 to 3 points. Our pivot rotation worked a couple times already, so I would not be looking at that anymore. Unless we rally all the way up and make new highs, that's another story. But now we're down ticking here a little bit, a little support there at our blue band around the 55 if you're a little aggressive. But our major support there would be down at the 48. All right, so we have a couple numbers to be released here at 9 o'clock, top of the hour. Again, we don't like to have positions on when numbers are released, so we kind of try to be flat when those numbers are released. Yesterday is a perfect example. There was a small number. I thought it was a small number. 9 o'clock created some volatility, so we will trade the volatility after the fact. We don't have to have any positions on. Usually my history with having positions on when the numbers are released is very poor. I seem to keep guessing the wrong way. I have no idea why. I always think I know what's going on, and I really don't. All right, again, we continue to downtick here, looking at that 48 as a little support area. I'll repeat the levels again, just in case some of you might have come in a little bit late. Our pivot this morning is 60, 40, 60. Support at 48, 37, 27, 18, and 07. Resistance on the upside at 72, 83, 91, 4100, and 10. All right. We are kind of just hovering here. I know there's a big range there between our first resistance and our first support, but it's just chopping in this range, so we shall be patient with it too. We do have a couple numbers here at 9 o'clock that might give us a little movement. We like to average about 4 to 5 trades a day. Probably average is the key. Sometimes we're going to get a lot more, sometimes we're going to get less, but again, we also focus on the morning hours. We feel the dynamics of the morning give us a good opportunity with the volatility that's there and the movement that's there in the morning for us to have some good scalping opportunities. And then the trade in the afternoon gets a little bit different and more one way than we like. Again, if anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the chat. And we like to have, I like to have the bonds up there. Sometimes they trade inversely, sometimes they don't. You could see kind of a little bit, they're trading kind of in the same direction right now. My history in trading was I was trading in the bond pit for many a year. And so I just kind of have this like little liking to the bonds. So I put them up there. Sometimes they do give us some good relationships. I want to say inverse, but hasn't been happening lately because of the direction of interest rates. But it used to be where you get good economic news and you'd have a negative effect on interest rates. Well, now we're getting good economic news. We're having negative effects on interest rates. But then now the market is starting to like it. So I don't know. The bonds are even liking it today, even though they're just about flat. Yield curve is a big thing that's going on, obviously. So that's something that still is in a recession mode. If you look at the 2s to 10s, which is what most of the people look at to define another definition of a technical recession. I get a newsletter, and that's what I get a few of them. So I take out bits and pieces from here and there. Over the years, I've been able to get a few people sending me their stuff. Let's see here. What else we're going to talk about? So we do have a couple numbers to be released. We have to deal with that here at 9 o'clock. There's natural gas, of course, at 9:30, but again, I don't know if it's going to affect us as much. We continue to market downticks here a little bit. We're looking at the 48 as 48 area. I'll say area because we're not going to be perfect. We scale around our entry points depending on obviously if you can trade multiple contracts or not. But if you can, we suggest scaling around the area to give us a good opportunity to get into a level, because we're not always going to be right, and we're not always going to go down to like 48 and pop back up. We might go to 49, 48 and change, or we might go down to 47. Who knows? Or 46. So again, you got to be able to scale, and if you can't, that's okay. Also, you can make adjustments according to the price action. If you're only trading in one lot and you couldn't, you didn't get filled, and we went and retested that area, and so there's different ways of adjusting your risk exposure, even if you're trading one lots, and it also depends on your risk tolerance as well. So there's many aspects to trading. They're not always so straightforward. As we now come down here to the 48 area. Okay, coming down here really quick. Getting us down here to the 48 area. And again, we're a little bit patient here, waiting for this opportunity. Again, whatever, just keep your stop in place. We're not going to love any trade we put on. All right. All right, make sure you keep your stop in place, whether you're doing 2, 3 points, and look for the next opportunity, because we're not, like I said, we are not going to guess as to why something's not working or working. We're just going to look for a next opportunity if we get stopped out, and that's what we're doing right now. And next support level we have is down here at the 37. Again, you never know what creates volatility. All right, we just never know that. And all of a sudden they decided that the market could not rally, so they started pushing it down here a little bit, but kind of ran through our 48 area there. But again, that's why we are using stops. We're not going to love any trade we put on. All right, there's some more stops getting hit. And we're down here, and we're looking at 37 next. Of course, we got down to 39 and change. If you did trade our green band there, is at 40. You got a nice little opportunity there for you. Again, everybody trades a little bit differently, and we have different kind of price action plays or setups that are there for those who are a little bit more, who are able to take a little bit more risk. Again, everybody here trades a little bit differently. You have to understand your risk tolerance and trade it accordingly, and also understand some of the setups that we have that include that I don't always talk about, only because we talk about the levels. Those are the ones we give out, but I don't know everybody's risk tolerance, so that's a little bit that's got to be definitely an individualized thing. But if you work with us, then we can, obviously I work with you to try to maximize those opportunities and maximize the other price action opportunities that we have in the market as well. All right, the green band there was a little bit of a quick buying opportunity. We dipped down to 39 and change there, and it popped up. Obviously, if you were going to buy the green band there, you're going to also have to buy the 37. So obviously your risk has to be expanded a little bit if you were going to do that. Now that we got down to 39 here and rotated back up, the 37 isn't as strong as it was obviously a few minutes ago. We would have liked to have gone down there up to 37 and then rotated to get this rotation back up, but we just missed out on that. So you have to take that into consideration if you're more risk averse, and adjust, or at least think about the risk when we come back down here, if we come back down here. Okay, so it's a lot riskier right now than it was a little bit ago. wasn't really too friendly either. But hey, what are we gonna do? That's why we're not guessing. But if you did jump in at the blue band there at 40, you've done okay with that. All right, again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. We are scalping S&Ps here, looking for opportunities to scalp the market based on the levels we gave out. And I'll repeat the levels one more time. Our pivot was 60 and down below 48, 37, 27, 18, and 07. Upside resistance at 72, 83, 91, 41 even, and 10. So these levels, in addition to any price action opportunities that might occur, give us our setups. There are different little opportunities that are inherent in every, with the price action that's out there. So all right, we are coming down here on these lows. Well, again, 37, a little bit riskier than it was a little bit ago, so be just a little bit mindful of that. All right, we're coming back down here. We do have a number that's going to be released here in about 4 minutes. So keep that in mind. There's a couple numbers that can be released here in 4 minutes. We have, let's see, we have new home sales and new home sales and wholesale inventories. Both of them are going to be released here at the top of the hour in about 4 minutes or so. So we'll see what that brings. Again, we are like to be flat when that happens, even though we're coming right down here to our, gonna retest our 37 here. Again, if you're a little bit more risk averse, you're maybe adjusting your entry point or not taking it at all, because we talked about it's a little riskier right now than it was a little bit ago. And so we have to take that into consideration. You have to take the price action into consideration, even though we have a level, but we did go down to 39 and change. And so that made this level a little bit more, vulnerable. So if you're more risk averse, you're not going to be taking or maybe adjusting a little bit here to the downside. But again, that's all dependent on your each individual's risk tolerance and how they manage their trades. All right, again, we suggested adjusting your entry point there a little bit because of the risk, and we're getting a nice, if you adjust it down to 36, if you did a lower entry point there against the 37, remember we scale around the point above and below. Maybe everybody does it differently. If you got in on the lower end because of the adjustment that we warned you about, you're getting a nice little rotation here against the maybe 36, or even, we didn't get down to 35, but so if you did jump in there and adjust it a little bit, maybe you got a nice little quick 2 points there. But we do have a number coming out here in 2 minutes, so be mindful of that if you're trying to get a little bit of a rotation here off of this 36. Stop in place, and also here if you have any left over. All right, we're getting a little bit of a rotation here. If you, again, we had talked about adjusting your entry point based on the price action. So maybe adjusted there a little bit, maybe got in there at 36. So at least that's would be a logical move, right? And we told you about it before it happened. So you're getting a nice little rotation here. And even if you did stay with the 37, you still did okay with that. So even though we got run over there on a 48, but that's why you keep your stop in place. You can take a little bit more than 2 or 3 points out of this area here. And again, depending on how many contracts you trade and how you manage those, you could still kind of exit slowly as we are coming up here with about a minute here left before the number. All right, so nice little rotation there against 37. And I'm flat now. Now we'll see what this number will bring. There's a couple numbers, new home sales and business inventories. Again, they have been, new home sales have been going down. That's what the Fed wants, but they also want, I guess, I don't know if they want unemployment to go up, but it seems to be hanging in there. Employment's keeping the economy at a pretty positive number with the GDP stuff. All right, see what this number does here. You can see here they kind of lighten the load there in the ladder ticket. There's no 100 lots. There's more 10s and 20s, a couple of 50s in there. But you always know there's a little pop up here. You can always know there's a number released when you can see how the ladder ticket just lightens up and the bids and the offers in there. All right, so again, some volatility here. Again, we cannot move as fast as these algorithms are moving, right? You got up to 45 and then a second later you're down to 41.2. So instead of us trying to match wits with an algorithm, because there's no way we can, we just let this thing happen. We got support on the downside at 27. That I'll still have my orders in, and upside resistance right now would probably be around the 57 area if I'm looking for a resistance on the upside. All right, so we'll let this number kind of do its thing. Downside support right now is down at 27. Let the market kind of gyrate here. And then we'll go from there. Again, very hard to try to guess what it's doing. All right. So let it get through its kind of going nowhere fast trade here, right? Kind of just bouncing around. And we'll see where it wants to go from there. Downside support down at 27. Next upside is at, well, we got a little resistance at 57. But our better support would be up at 72. If you're more risk averse, you're just going to wait for the 72 area. And you think it's so far away, but it's not. Be surprised. These markets they do move. So. All right, kind of uptick in here a little bit. And again, we had the support there at the 37 area and got down to 35 and change there. So even if you just bought the 37 straight up and then make the adjustment, you did fine with that trade. And that was prior to the number. And now we're just kind of floating back up here a little bit, letting this number kind of do its thing. This is what I like to call the no trade zone here. Not getting too involved when it's just bouncing back and forth like this. Every time it makes you think that it's going to rally, it breaks, and every time it breaks hard, it stops and rallies. So instead of me guessing, I'll just wait, find my spots, and be patient. Again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. We don't mind questions. And if you didn't get the levels, I can repeat them again, but just let me know in the chat that you didn't get them. And I'll repeat them again. We usually have them printed there, but I have a tough time doing it for whatever reason. And so person that usually does it for me is not here. So I will just repeat the levels. Again, if you need the levels, please let me know in the chat. All right. Again, so we just were kind of rally, and then all of a sudden we're back down here in the lows. So very choppy. Very choppy. Got support down at 27. Again, like I said, this is where I like to call the no trade zone. And we just gotta wait a little bit. Patience is very important in this game. Well, patience is important in this game. On electronically, it was a lot different when I was standing the pit trading. Also, we're trading bonds and they didn't move as much. Resistance, we have 72. Yeah, it's 72, 74 area. Yeah, I'll repeat the levels again. Our pivot was 60. That supported 48, 37, 27, 18, and 07. And resistance at 72, 83, 91, 41 even, and 10.
Hey, quick shout out and thank you to Chad. Hey, Chad, thanks for posting that. Hey, a couple quick programming notes. Right now it's about 11 on January 26, 2023.
It's not 11:10.
I know, right? Set it back.
I mean, it's in Atlantic Ocean, maybe some places 11:10, but not even in New York.
You know what it is? It's that comet. You know, there's a comet, the closest ever comet is coming around.
I
So
know.
if you look out your window, you can see it streaking across the sky.
And it's affecting you only.
You know, that could be. That could be.
Okay.
But I just wanted to jump in here and post a couple things if you don't mind.
Well, just say the time correct, and I won't mind, because I don't know where 11:11 is right now.
Oh, right now it'd be 11:12.
Okay.
Just click to 12 instead of 10:12.
Got it. Go ahead.
So what is it in your time zone?
Who knows?
It's 9:12.
Oh yeah, I'm in solid Midwest, solid Chicago,
Yeah,
right where the exchanges used to be.
I always say that you're in an undisclosed location.
Yeah, in the bunker.
Underneath.
It's too bad.
The CME.
I'd love to be back on the floor. I just love it. Just, this is brutal staying home.
I can't even imagine, right? Well, we got at least.
What do you mean you
can't
get
your lava lamp? You got to get your lava lamps going again.
I just need to get
in your man
cave. The only good thing is that it's snowy outside, so I don't mind today. But most of the time, I'm like, oh.
You ever put on the black lights during the day, and tune up those posters?
My wife got rid of them. She thought I was getting too old for them.
I actually wanted to see if I could source those. I can remember this. I might be dating myself, but I can remember that there were some pretty cool posters back then.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there were, and I'm sure you had them.
I did. But it's all coming back around. Now it's all on a wheel. Now they have food trucks filled with weed driving around Manhattan.
Well, you finally decided to legalize this stuff. You guys came to Chicago to buy it.
Yes. It's weird. I don't know what's going on because back in the old days, it used to smell like okay, like and might even be interesting. Now it smells like skunk, and I just freaking hate it.
Well, sorry you feel that way.
But anyway, so I have a couple things I need to post for you. I would like to post for you. One is the opportunity for people to sign up for your service, which I posted already. So I'm going to post if you need the links.
Canada will be the last place that legalizes it. It's after the whole world has decided to legalize, and then they'll just say, "Oh, okay, let's jump on board."
My daughter's going up to is it Whistler's in Canada?
Oh, Whistler, yeah, a nice town.
Yeah, she's flying there today.
What for?
Apparently, some of her girlfriends and her wanted to go skiing.
Oh, so I hate cold weather sports. God. Okay.
Or we're going to hear back from her. They said it was 5 degrees.
Blair said, "Very nice place to ski."
I've never been. I don't ski myself, but I'd like to. I think I might have to start doing something. I don't know.
Okay, your age. Okay, good one.
It's funny. I was walking up the stairs and like, oh, my knee hurts.
Yeah, how about just
I'm like, my knee hurts.
Try walking. That'll give you some. It might keep you still upright to decide to go skiing. That's a good one.
So I just posted about Sal's mentoring services. It's in the chat. It's out to everybody. There is a line in there that if you're not a member yet and you want to do that, it does come with a 1 month free access to this Trade Along live session. But I think that you'd probably want to get the discount on both. So make sure you're signed up. I'll post that. Now you'll see 2 postings in here. One has the discount links for daily access to this Trade Along with Sal from 9:15 till about 11:30 on a trading day basis. And then you have the mentoring sessions, which are available that Sal is the man. So I'll be in the background if you need me. Make sure you're signed up so you don't get exited abruptly. And we appreciate you being here. And if you like what we're doing, tell your friends. eMini tradealong.com.